But now to Manchester City. We're waiting on confirmation on Rúben Dias signing for the club. What's the latest, Mark?
Well, as you said at the top of the show there, it's almost done. Manchester City fans can nearly get excited about this signing. What do we know? That Manchester City and Benfica have agreed a deal for £64.3 million, which would finally bring to an end their search for a defender to replace, of course, their leader, legend and captain Vincent Kompany. What do we know? Rúben Dias is now in Manchester. Take a look at the pictures there that were caught by our camera crew in and around the city. It's a brief shot of him, but trust us, that is Rúben Dias in Manchester. We know that the player has already completed his medical in Portugal and that personal terms have been agreed after the clubs settled on a fee. City have looked high and low, it's fair to say, to try and find that replacement for Vincent Kompany. And of course, the most important thing for any defender that goes into Manchester City and a Pep Guardiola side is that they fit the profile, which this man most certainly does. In Dias, they believe they have a player that ticks all of the boxes that they need. It's important to remember he's a player as well that's been on the radar for a number of Premier League sides over the course of the last couple of years. He's been incredibly good for Portugal, under 16, 17, 18, 19 and 20, 21 level as well as playing 19 times for the senior side. So this is a really, really exciting defender that's going to be joining the Premier League and arguably could be one of the best defenders in the world at the moment away from the Premier League that is joining the England's top flight. So he's definitely a player with massive, massive potential.
It is a big outlay, Emma, but Pep Guardiola has proven that he's not scared to spend on defenders.
He's actually spent a lot on defenders. I had a quick look back. He's spent nearly £400 million on defenders in his time at the club. You look at, I'll just reel some of them off now. John Stones kept coming in for £47.5 million. Kyle Walker came in from Tottenham, of course, for £45 million. Danilo from Real Madrid for nearly £27 million. Aymeric Laporte from Athletic Bilbao back in 2018 for £57 million. Benjamin Mendy from Monaco, that was just over £49 million. João Cancelo came in last summer, of course. Danilo going the other way to Juventus, that was £60 million. Nathan Ake in this window for £41 million. And now Rúben Dias for over £60 million, taking it to, like I said, nearly £400 million. This window, you know, basically £105 million spent on two of those centre-backs in Dias and Nathan Ake. So look, spending big, like you said, on defenders, on central defenders as well, is not something that Guardiola is scared of. And it's actually not something exclusive to Guardiola as well, because I will just say as well, Manuel Pellegrini, the man in charge at Manchester City before Guardiola, he spent more than £30 million apiece on Otamendi and on Mangala as well.
Yeah, good point. And in terms of Dias, then how does he compare to the current Manchester City centre-backs?
Well, he's got so much quality. He's had, obviously, 3 really successful seasons at Benfica. Like you say, Tom, the comparisons are there on the screen now.
Yeah, and this is from last season.
This is from last season, yes. So Dias played 33 games compared to Otamendi at 24, Laporte 15, John Stones at 16 there. I think one of the key things you see in those stats is that his blocks are very strong and his interceptions not quite as strong as some of the other players, but it's his leadership qualities that are most important. I think that's the key thing that Manchester City have been missing, and that's the key reason why he is the most perfect player for them. So interesting to see the comparisons there, but like I say, a player with huge potential.
So you were talking about, obviously, we've all talked about him being a replacement for Vincent Kompany, and before the show we were talking, and I mean, Kompany's only been gone since May 2019. It seems like so much longer than that. He didn't feature a lot for Manchester City towards the end, but it was his leadership, wasn't it? And that's what they've really been missing.
Yeah, Jose Font, the former Southampton and West Ham defender, who obviously won the Euros with Portugal. He knows what it is to play for the country. He speaks glowingly about Dias and his leadership qualities and the type of player he is. It's important to remember as well, he's only 23 years old, so he's got a huge future ahead of him, and someone who played in the World Cup in 2018. He was a part of that Portugal squad, so a young player with a lot of experience already.
Yeah, and we know Fernandinho could have been on that list as well, because he played at centre-back a lot last season. But we know that even though they signed Nathan Ake, Pep Guardiola has been looking for this second new centre-back, and they've done their homework, haven't they?
They've done their homework, and also City believe they're getting really good value for money in this deal because they're paying £62 million up front, the rest in add-ons, for a player that had an £18 million release clause after signing a new contract at Benfica last summer, and that also is significantly lower than the £70 million that they were quoted for Napoli's Kalidou Koulibaly. And especially, we haven't really mentioned it here, but when you consider that £13.7 million that City are getting from Otamendi going the other way, and City were priced out of a move for Jose Jimenez, despite making an actual offer. They weren't willing to enter negotiations once Atletico set a valuation of over £80 million. Also, Sevilla's Jules Koundé, that was another player that we were talking about over the course of the last week, another serious option for Manchester City, but it's felt that he would have been a bit more of a risk, given he isn't as established as Rúben Dias at just the age of 21.